everyone, I'm Alexis the Eco Queen. Love me, I know you do. And today, we're going to need our bolters and our sacred inscriptions because today we are talking about the Sisters of Battle. And what better place to start than the Canoness, the military leader of the Adeptus sororitas, and on the tabletop, your go-to HQ choice. I'm Alexis the Eco Queen, and I will be your hostess for this basic tactics and how-to video and this series, because if this episode goes well, we will be making this into an actual series, and we'll be going in depth into each and every single one of the choices in the Adeptus Sororitas Beta Codex. Just for you in the future who are watching this video, we are talking about the Adeptus Sororitas Beta Codex. In fact, we are talking about, wait for it, keep waiting. Are you still waiting? All right, well, keep waiting. We are talking about the chapter-approved Beta Codex, which at first seemed really bad, but as I played it more, has kind of grown on me. It's not the best. Without a doubt, it is definitely not the best. The index is a little bit better, I will admit, but overall, it has a strong feeling of faith. Also, I do apologize about the dogs downstairs. Neighbors. Anyway, we're going to be going over the Canoness. So, first off, what is a Canoness? Canonesses are your military leaders as well as being your basic captains, and they're the most pure of the Adeptus Sororitas. Very few of them have ever fallen to chaos. In fact, the only one to ever fall, well, any sister to ever fall to chaos, willingly gave her body to chaos, and that was Mariel Sabathiel. Though we did find out in the Adeptus Sororitas Omnibus that it turns out a few more have fallen. Maybe some Canonesses in there. Canonesses are aware of the heresy within the sisterhood. They are aware that some sisters can turn, and it is their job to make sure that they don't, as well as being the military leader of the Adeptus Sororitas. I can do a full lore video and a full lore breakdown of the Adeptus Sororitas, but personally, I don't think a lot of you would watch it, as a lot of the lore on my channel has gone unnoticed, and for the most part, I'm not really a lore channel. I'm more of a tabletop tactics channel, and I know this, you guys know this, and you love me for it. But if you would like to see a lore video, please comment in the comment section down below. I'm sure Victor would love to do it. Now, that being said, let's take a look at the Adeptus Sororitas Canoness. Now, as we go into this tactic video, we're going to have to talk about the different Canonesses that I use in my Adeptus Sororitas force. We have Canoness Viridian in the middle, Canoness Cain at the end with her trusty loadout of an Inferno Pistol and Adamant Blade, and then we have a nameless Canoness who still needs a name, by the way. If you would like to name her, please comment in the comment section down below, with an Inferno Pistol. These are the three go-to Canonesses that I like to use for my Adeptus Sororitas army. Viridian, she has no rules. Unfortunately, the Codex does tell you that she is just a Canoness with a power sword and, laughably, this. Yep, there she is. Yeah, thanks Index, you missed. Anyway, we're not going to complain too much about that. This video is about tactics, not complaining. I already did multiple videos complaining about this. Going over the Canoness, they have a movement of 6 inches. Really good, can keep up with most mobile infantry, and yes, that is a Starship Troopers joke. But nothing to write home about. Canonesses do not have jump packs yet for some reason, even though every single other HQ captain type character can gain access to a jump pack. I would like to see that as a change, but that's just me. Weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2+ does mean that you can mix and match weapons, similar to what I did with Canoness Cain on the end, where I gave her an Inferno Pistol and the Adamant Blade. That is my favorite combo, by the way. This allows her to survive close combat, well, if she survives close combat, to have a melt-a-shot as well as having a Strength 5 weapon that has AP -3 and 3 damage. She is devastating in both close combat and at range, so long as it's very short range. She is the Canoness that I've run up the board with, while the other two are support Canonesses. Now you may be asking yourself, what's the difference between a support Canoness and a close combat Canoness? And the name implies it. These Canonesses sit in the back with Retributor squads, usually trying to give them the rerolls of 1s, as well as applying the Stormbolter ability to them if they are with regular battle sister squads. Especially with her, since I tend to run her as if she has a Stormbolter, although I do want to get a Canoness with a Stormbolter for future videos. But I will be going in on that in just a second. But let's continue going over their stats. Strength and toughness of 3. This means regardless of their close combat weapons, they're going to be wounding most things on 5s and 6s, meaning that unless you have the Adamant Blade, which I'm not even sure if it's called that, but for this video we're going to call it that, and I'm going to be wrong and you guys are going to comment, and I'm going to be like, well, whoopsie daisy, my bad. Anyway, I don't see their close combat weapons as viable as they only have 3 to choose from as a base, and that being the Chainsword, the Power Maul, and the Power Sword. Unfortunately, for some reason, we lost our Power Axes, though you can still take the Index version and get the Power Axe. Personally, I think the Axe and the Maul might be the best, as the Power Sword is completely useless on them. The Chainsword is actually a good addition to them. It allows them to get an extra attack, and it does bump their attacks up to 5. Speaking of which, the toughness of 3, speaking of which, doesn't even apply there, but anyway, the toughness of 3 does mean that your Canonesses, like the rest of your Sororitas army, is extremely squishy, so placement is very, very, very important. Usually what I do with my Canonesses is I surround them with the unit that they are trying to buff, putting a Battle Sister or a Retributor behind her to make sure that my opponent has to chew through the squad before getting to her. As if the Retributor squad dies, she can run and assist in other spots in the army, such as assisting a Bolter squad of Battle Sisters. 5 wounds does mean that your Canoness can actually tank quite a bit. This is the equivalent to a Space Marine Captain after all. A Canoness can go through hell and back and still be efficient. With 4 attacks, their close combat is okay, but given their base weapons, it's nothing really, really good. In fact, you don't really want to build a close combat Canoness unless you're doing the Relic Blade, which is what I always do on one of them. Their base weapons include a Frag Grenade, a Crack Grenade, Bolt Pistol, and Chainsword. Actually, it doesn't actually include the Chainsword anymore. You have to purchase it for 0 points, but I digress. Bolt Pistols are always a useful option for these girls, as they can actually take them without getting them replaced too much, which I think is amusing. Bolt Pistols allows them to have a strength 4 attack in close combat during your turn when you get to shoot your Bolt Pistols in close combat. Everybody should be aware what a Bolt Pistol, Frag, and Crack Grenade do, so I'm not going to go too into those. Because if you don't know what that does, then yeah, just read it. Anyway, moving on. The war gear options of the Adeptus Sororitas Canoness. This model may replace its bolt pistol with a melee weapon. I can speak, I promise. I'm reading the second line instead of the first, and I apologize about that. This model may replace its bolt pistol with a weapon from the ranged weapon list, or pistol list. Now, this is where I usually go for my Inferno Pistols, because I really like Inferno Pistols. They add that special touch, and it's a weapon that I actually have in real life. And by that I mean I have a prop of it and not the actual thing, because that would be insane. But, Inferno Pistol. I cosplay a lot. Anyway, let's put this thing away and get back to these girls. So here you have to look at the melee weapons and the pistol weapons, as well as the ranged weapons. The ranged weapons does include a Stormbolter, which is usually the best and easiest, cheapest war gear option to go to. It makes the Canoness's base cost of 45 go up to 47. and it is super efficient, especially for a long-range Canoness. In fact, if you are doing a long-range Canoness or want to take advantage of a stratagem/special ability later on, I highly suggest the Stormbolter over the Inferno Pistol. That being said, you can get a Condemner Bolt Gun. It's not really that good. It's kind of forgettable. It's a point. Combi weapons are always a good choice depending on how you want to run your Canoness. If you're running a close combat Canoness, a Combi Flamer is actually really good. It prevents her from being assaulted or dealing some damage in Overwatch as things come into her, and hoping that she can survive. Combi Plasma is really good also because you do get to reroll 1s, meaning you get a Strength 8 2-shot plasma gun. So keep that in mind when running your Canonesses, though it does mean that double 1s does kill your Canoness. Just kind of out there. Bolt gun, you can't go wrong with a bolt gun, but I would take a bolt pistol over a bolt gun because the bolt pistol can actually be used in close combat. I'd sacrifice the shot to be used in close combat, especially when it's only a bolt gun. When it comes to ranged weapons, if you are going to pick one from that list, I would highly suggest the Stormbolter over any others, because the Stormbolter allows that Canoness to use some nasty abilities that we are going to talk about in a little bit. Moving on, they can take from the pistol list. This includes Bolt, Plasma, and Inferno. No grab for sisters, though they do believe in the Holy Trinity, which is Melta, Flamethrower, and Bolter, though Plasma Pistols do sneak in from time to time. I wouldn't bother with the Plasma Pistol when you can get an Inferno Pistol, which is better in every way, because it is my favorite gun in the entire game. I may be a little bit biased. Plasma Pistols are pretty decent. Actually, they're really good. You can't go wrong with a Plasma Pistol. Though I would still take the Stormbolter over it, but that may be me. Melee weapons, I would completely skip the melee weapon list, unless you're taking a Power Sword to upgrade it to the Relic. Other than that, your Canonesses do not need a close combat weapon, except for maybe a Chainsword. Now, getting back to the Canoness, this model may take a weapon from the melee weapon list, so you can actually do some fun stuff here. Your Bolt Pistol can be replaced with a melee weapon, which, oh no I can't, sorry, my bad. It can be replaced with a ranged weapon or pistol weapon. They don't allow for double close combat weapons anymore, which was really funny last thing in the index. You can have a sister walking around with double plasma pistols, double meltaguns, and double Inferno pistols, and yeah, so on and so forth. But now you can't, which is a shame. It does allow you to take a melee weapon, so if you're going to take a melee weapon on your Canoness, I suggest the Chainsword. It gets you that one extra attack, and that's about it. The Canoness does have Shield of Faith and Act of Faith. If you're watching this video, you should know how both of these things work, but if you don't, Shield of Faith is a 6-up invo save. Act of Faith is the most random chart in the game. Lead the Righteous. It has the Captain special rule. If you're within a 6-inch bubble, you get to reroll 1s if you're an Order unit. Now that's interesting because it doesn't actually apply to priests, nor does it apply to certain things such as penitent engines. Really good to keep in mind, by the way. It only affects Order units, which is the Sister of Battle. Because Odo of our Martyred Lady, or Order of the bleh, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, moving on, they have a Rosarius, which is a 4-up invo save. Now, where Canonesses start getting cheeky is what relics you give them. Now, personally, I do wish that you can put multiple relics on one character, because I would give her the 3-up invo as well as the sword, but you can't. If you are going to use Celestine as your warlord, I highly suggest you don't. You do get a warlord trait that's set, but if you are going to use a Canoness as your warlord, there are several warlord traits you can do, which includes rerolling morale, rerolling charge distance, which is kind of useless. Righteous Rage is completely useless if you're going with a Canoness. Subtract 1 for the leadership characteristics of enemy units whilst they are within 6 inches of your warlord. As you guys know, morale is not important in 40k at all in any way, shape, or form. I know GW tries to make it important, but morale for the most part is completely skippable, except when you're trying to do an act of faith to survive it. At the start of your turn, roll a d6. If this warlord is on the battlefield on a 4+, you gain a faith point. Beacon of Faith is okay, especially if you're using Ebon Chalice, but I would honestly just take this on Celestine. Now, this is the one that you actually want. Indomitable Belief. The invulnerable save of friendly Ordo units received from Shield of Faith ability is improved to 5+ whilst they are within 6 inches of your warlord. This can be brutal if you are castling up with your Adeptus Sororitas Canonesses, which we are going to talk about that in just a second. But for this, we're going to assume that we took Indomitable Belief. But let's just make sure and read the last one. Your warlord can attempt to deny 1 additional psychic power in... Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's completely useless, by the way. Pure of Will, more Pure of Crap. It's a bad ability. Take Indomitable Belief. It's the best that they can get. Now, moving on to Relics. The Blade of blah, blah, blah. So this is a... Oh, wow. Did they actually nerf it? Nope, it's still a Strength 5, AP -3, 3 damage blade. That is what she holds. My Magnetized Adeptus Sororitas Canoness cane. The Book of St. Lucas is also insanely good as it adds 3 inches to the aura abilities of the Adeptus Sororitas. This actually might combo with Indomitable Belief, but I'm not sure if it does because it is technically an aura ability. I don't know how this stacks, though. That's the thing. If it does stack together, then you take Indomitable Belief and Book of St. Lucas on a Canoness and sit back 9 inches in a 5+ with Celestine nearby as a 4+. And if you use another ability, it becomes a 3+ on a castle. Book of St. Lucas is one of the things that I take immediately. I actually look for it. In fact, I usually spend the 3 command points to play 3 different relics. So it really depends how you want to use your Sisters of Battle. My Canoness, I always go with a close combat one, and then I go to support. So for me, this one would have the blade, this one would have the book, and this one might actually be negating psychic powers, or depending on what the other abilities are. Brazier of Eternal Flame, or as it's more commonly known, the Brazier of Holy Fire. If you are a fan of the Dark Heresy series that runs on the channel, you would know that Rosalina actually carries one of these. Roll 2d6 instead of d6 for Deny the Witch task taken by friendly Ordo units using the Shield of Faith ability whilst they are in 6 inches of the bearer. Now, the cool thing about this is I believe, and this is silly, but it might actually affect some funny things. Yes, it actually affects the rhinos. So if you have a lot of tanks and your opponent has a lot of psychers, this one might not be bad to grab. In fact, I can see this being very useful because your tank can deny, your sisters can deny, your everything can deny on 2d6. If you do take Pure of Will, they get -1 if they are within 12 inches of your warlord, making it easier to negate psychic powers. If you ally them with Sisters of Silence, you get even more buffs to negating psychic powers. Really good if you are going against a very specific opponent, but if not, then it's kind of forgettable. Still, the Brazier of Eternal Flame is an extremely situational but extremely good ability and relic. Litanies of Faith, roll a d6 each time you successfully pass a test of faith. For a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit whilst within 6 inches of the bearer. On a 5+, the faith point, you get refunds on your faith. To be honest, it's not really worth it. You just kind of want to maximize the amount of fate that you get. Average game gets 7. So just, yeah, it's cool. If you're doing the 3 relics and you're not fighting psychers, it is a relic to grab. And again, it's a backfield relic, so your support ones will want to use it, not your attacker. Canoness gains a 3+ invulnerable save. The Mantle of Ophia. Really good on a close combat Canoness, but other than that, it's kind of forgettable. It's a more random ability, and it's just a Storm Shield as a relic. To be honest, we should probably just get rid of that and get Storm Shields back, since those were in the Adeptus Sororitas 2nd edition book and the Witch Hunter book. I think they were in the Witch Hunter. I may be wrong. But anyway, moving on. Wrath of the Emperor is a pistol with 18-inch range, strength 5, AP -1 to damage apiece. It's essentially taking your attacker and giving it to a support. It's not that great. It's a relic. It's cool. Like, it is definitely a cool ability, but overall kind of meh, in my opinion. I don't think you want anybody within 18 inches of your sisters, of these 2 support sisters. So, to be honest, I would pass on it. The 3 that I would choose would be the Blade, the Book, and the Brazier. And, for instance, Brazier, she actually does have a book on her, which is funny. I don't think you actually do. No, your model does not include a book. That's funny. But I would do Brazier, Book, Blade, in my opinion. Oops, sorry, I just smacked the camera. Now, let's get into actual tactics and show you how to properly set up your sisters. So, this is a very typical castle formation. What we have here is 3 Battle Sister squads. Ignore their weaponry. We're just going to say that there's 3 Stormbolters per squad. So this is 3 squads of Battle Sisters out in the front, wrapped around a piece of terrain that also has 3 Retributor squads on top of it. Now, Retributors, you kind of want to throw heavy bolters on them because it's still the most efficient way of using them. But in this formation, we want to know exactly where is the best optimal place to put our Canoness. Now, we could put her here, which would keep her slightly protected, but this squad wraps all the way around here, and this is on the edge of the map. So my opponent cannot attack here, so I know this part is safe. So logically, you would think over here. This way, the Canoness can in no way, shape, or form get assaulted. But what I would do is I would put the Canoness right here. This allows the Canoness's aura ability of 6 inches to actually affect every single unit near her. So, for instance, we know that she has 6-inch bubble. That would hit this squad, this squad, this squad, this squad, this squad, and this squad. This now allows every single one of them to re-roll 1s. Now here's where it gets fun. Let's say that this Canoness is actually equipped with a Stormbolter. Now you're going to love this. If you're running a formation similar to this, which I did actually forget to put some stuff in it, you're going to want these. These are Magnifiers. You want them in your Retributor squad, which they are drunk now, so they got into the ammo sack. Don't question them. Okay, so say you have 3 of these. This protects your sisters, keeps them all safe, yada yada yada, gives them +1. Not important for right now. Now, this is where things are going to start getting fun with the sisterhood. Okay, so we have the Canoness, and this is a support Canoness at 47 points. So Canoness base with a Stormbolter. We have on her, once I find the name of it, we have on her Indomitable Belief. So every single one of these girls now has a +1 to their Invo save. So if, for instance, we also had Celestine back here, which we're just going to put her right here and say that she's affecting everybody, mostly because we can actually put her right here. Now, every single one of these units has a 4-up invulnerable save. from one support HQ and another support HQ. Yes, Celestine is now a support and counter assault HQ. We will get to her in another video, but for right now, that's all you need to know about her. And let's actually adjust this so that you can actually see everything that I am looking at, and I apologize about that. There we go. Now, when you do a castle formation, you want to make sure all of these girls are touching terrain. It doesn't have to be the bottom of their terrain, their base. It can actually just be a part of it. So every single one of these girls also receives a cover save in case they need it. Or in case they want to take a 2-up instead of a 3-up invulnerable save, or 4-up invulnerable save. Now, we are going to be using not Martyred Lady, even though they are all painted like that, and every single one of them comes from Martyred Lady, except for the 3 Sacred Rose girls, but ignore them. We are instead going to be using Ebon Chalice, or Ebon Chalice, or however you actually want to say it. The audiobook said Ebon. I kind of like Ebon. It goes along with my accent, but I know a lot of people get upset and call it Ebon. But anyway, so now I get +1 to all of my Acts of Faith. Really good ability. The rest of the Acts of Faith are kind of meh. The rest of the orders are kind of meh. Personally, I don't really like most of them. I think Martyred Lady is probably the worst. But I digress. Now, going into it, we are giving her the Warlord trait, Indomitable Belief. So everybody has the 5-up invo. Then we're giving her the Book of Lucas, which makes her aura ability 9 inches. So it actually could affect people further away, and I want to show you just how much further away it can affect people. So just so you know, this is 18 inches over her. That's how far this can actually spread. So from 9 inches from her base, which is a 32, and yes, Sisters of Battle are going to be on 32, so there was one guy that actually complained about it, but whatever. She actually comes on a 32, use her for support HQs. So she has a massive bubble around her right now, giving everybody near them a 5-up invo, as well as rerolling 1s. Now, as I said, she has a Stormbolter, but Alexis, that's not really that impressive. There's just a lot of firepower there, which is really impressive. I know, those statements are contradictory, and it's almost like Alexis is trying to distract you while she actually searches her book for the thing that she's looking for. And you'd be right. Anyway, what we are going to do is we're going to use a stratagem. We're going to spend some command points, and actually this is a Battle-Forged army as well as being a battalion detachment. If I added one more HQ into here, it would actually be a battalion and a spearhead detachment, which is really funny. You get a lot of sisters for what you do. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for an ability called Blessed Bolters, or Blessed Bolts. Use this stratagem before shooting with an Adeptus Sororitas infantry. So her. Until your infantry unit from your army in the shooting phase, until the end of the phase, change the AP characteristic of Stormbolters and models in that unit that are armed with to AP -2 and damage characteristic of 2. It takes Stormbolters and actually makes them insanely good. Okay? But we're going to be using 2 to 3 other thingies right here. And this is going to be cool. So, actually I may have messed this up. I want to make sure I get this right just so that I can tell you guys this and show you how cool it is. So if you use this on her, which is 1 command point, it affects all of these girls who have 3 Stormbolters apiece. This makes them devastating close combat, devastating mid-range units, hitting at 24, AP -2 to damage, and it's a really, really good ability. Okay? On top of that, you have the re-rolling of 1s, but we're going to use an Act of Faith, which I need to find where they put them. Warlord traits, relics, next part. Where the hell are my Acts of Faith? Here they are. Okay. Aegis of the Emperor. 3, devotional value of 3, so it becomes a 2. Nope, not that one. Sorry, my bad. Also need to die for this. So we'll use these. We are looking for okay, scratch that. I was completely wrong. The stratagem that we want to use is Vessel of the Emperor's Will. Use this stratagem after a successful test of faith roll is made for an Adeptus Sororitas character from your army. The act of faith used on the character affects all friendly Adeptus Sororitas units within 6 inches of the character. This does not cost additional acts of faith and whatever. Now, because it comes in an aura, it goes to 9 inches. But I'm not sure if it goes to 9 inches or stays at 6, so that's why I packed everything so that it's within a foot. So if I'm wrong, it's still affecting everything within a foot. So, from there, we actually want to use another act of faith on her. We want to use an act of faith on her. Now, in that case, we are going to use Divine Guidance. Use this act of faith at the start of your shooting phase. If successful, add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made with this unit's ranged weapons until the end of the phase. So we spent a couple of command points, and now we have to make a Divine Guidance roll, an Act of Faith roll, with a devotional value of 4, but because we're Iban Chalice, we add +1 to this, so we need a 3, which we get a 4. So now that affects every single one of these units. Okay? Now what's cool about that is they're all re-rolling 1s. So they have an insane damage output right now. Then what you want to do is you want to use another command point and use Blessed Bolters on one of the units. So now let's just say this unit is in range of an enemy and you want them to rapid fire. So now this unit has Blessed Bolters. This character right here has Vessel of the Emperor's Will. And so on and so forth. Now with that we have damage across the table, and it's a really, really, really good ability. Now this is another thing that you can do. You can actually heal her by D3 mortal wounds and affect every single unit around you, triggering healing abilities, which if they lost a model on a 4-up, they can resurrect them, and that could affect the potential affected radius could hit 1, 2, 3, 4, it can hit 6, 7 units if you include Celestine, which is amazing to be honest, because this gives Celestine another way of actually reviving, and if you keep the Geminis with her as well, it's another way of protecting her. So, that's the way that I would use a support HQ. For a more close combat oriented HQ, I would actually take this, take a Canoness Kane here. I would stick her with a group of close combat. What am I trying to say? I'd actually stick her with Dominions, to be honest. Not in the transport with her, but in her own transport. Which could be anything from a Rhino, or anything of the transport variety. More than likely, you're going to be aiming for a Repressor since it went down in points, which is actually amazing. So, with that, for close combat, you actually want to run Bloody Rose, as it's one of the better choices for a close combat HQ, especially with the sword, which makes her strength 6 AP minus 3 damage a pop, which is pretty efficient, and she actually affects Repentia. Repentia are the best choice in the Codex. In fact, they're one of the worst even still, but I absolutely love them. They are my favorite go-to unit for a fun game. If I know that I am playing for fun, I break out all 18 of my Repentia and have some fun with them. But with this close combat Canoness, you actually want to do Bloody Rose or even Chalice, depending on what you're actually fielding in the rest of the army. For instance, if you are running Dominions, preferably Dominions with Meltaguns, also this strategy back here works extremely well with Dominions with Stormbolters. But getting over here, especially if you use, we'll finish her off real quick. Take 3 Repressors, fill them with Dominions with Meltaguns or Flamethrowers or a combination of both in case you want to do Holy Trinity. Get yourself some banners in those squads because the banner is only 10 points and it's actually pretty decent. It's usually about 20 points for that sister with the banner. She's half the points that she used to be and barely does what she used to do. But I digress. Anyway, it makes the abilities you get from once you pop out of your transports a little bit better for the Acts of Faith, and you always want to use the +1 to hit, which can affect her, using the same ability that we just discussed with the Support HQ. And with that, you know what to do with a close combat character. You run them into something squishy and they kill them. Now, getting back over here for support, 3 squads of Dominions with Blessed Bolters affecting her if she has a... Oh wait, no, you can. You can use multiple stratagems on one person, but it doesn't actually affect the unit. Okay, so it actually doesn't. My bad, I apologize. Like I said, I'm still trying to learn the codex and I'm still trying to help you guys out while I discover some neat tricks as we go. Anyway guys, that was my basic overview of the Adeptus Sororitas Canoness HQ unit for the Sisters of Battle. And if you like this series, please comment in the comment section down below. If I forgot anything, please comment it down there. But before you comment something that I may have missed, be sure to read the comments and make sure that it's not posted 1,000 times. Because if it is, just know that I actually go through all of the comments and read every single one of them. But I digress. If I got anything wrong, please point it out. Please tell me. Bring it to my attention so that I can learn, we can learn together, and I can make these things happen in battle reports. Not me getting things wrong, though that does happen. Run a ton of armies. It's really hard to remember all of them. But you guys know that Sisters are my favorite. If you like this series, be sure to comment that you want to see more of the series. Maybe the next one being Celestine or a Ministorum Priest. Because we actually have multiple HQ choices now, which is weird. We still didn't get, we got Uriah Jogobus. We didn't get the preacher guy whose name I can't remember, but we did get a new preacher, which is really weird. I don't know how I feel about him. But anyway, guys, if you want to see more, comment in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, which should be like right here. For some reason, YouTube's algorithm really likes it. I don't know why, but like the video. Share this video on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, your social media. Did I do enough plugs yet? No. Go check out my Patreon. Because, yeah, why not? It goes a long way to help support the channel. Anyway, guys, I'm Alexis the Ego Queen. I love you guys. Bye.